Hi guys, it's Mrs. Williams. Today we're going to look at solving equations where you need to use the distributive property in order to do so. So before we start, again, make sure you have your notes ready, that you're fit, and you have checked your tech. Okay, is everybody ready? So let's solve equations using the distributive property notes. Well, before we can use the distributive property, let's make sure we know what the distributive property is. That would be saying something like the quantity A times the quantity B plus C. That's when we distribute and say A times B is AB plus A times C is AC. We distribute the multiplication over the addition. Okay, so does everybody remember that? All right, so when we're given an equation such as 2b plus 5 times the quantity b minus 6 equals negative 9, first off, notice we're not solving for x this time, we're solving for the variable b. Notice second that there are parentheses. If you see parentheses, you're going to distribute. So we're going to distribute this 5 into the parentheses. So the 2b comes along, and then 5 times b is 5b, and 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Then we copy the rest of the equation equals negative 9. Now we have to combine like terms, okay? We have 2b's plus 5b's. That tells us we have 7b's minus 30 equals negative 9. Okay, so now we're going to think about what's happening to our variable b. If we were substituting a number in for b, what would we do to the number? First, we would multiply by 7, then we would subtract 30. Now, in order to solve, we have to do the opposite operations in the opposite order. So the opposite of subtracting 30 is adding 30, and the opposite of multiplying by 7 is dividing by 7. So I'm going to bring my equation back down here. Whoops, where'd it go? 7b minus 30 equals negative 9. This way we have it to work with. And if we do the opposite operations in the opposite order, we add 30 to both sides. And here they're going to add to 0. We'll be left with 7b on the left-hand side, and the negative 30 and the 30 added to 0. But negative 9 plus 30 is positive 21. Now the next thing we're supposed to do, after we do the add 30, we're supposed to divide by 7. So we divide both sides by 7, and the 7b divided by 7, the b's cancel out, the 7's cancel out, and we have b. Then we have 21 divided by 7 is 3. So our final answer is b equals 3. And there you go. So it's the same as what we were doing yesterday, only we're adding one step at the beginning where we have to distribute if we see parentheses. Okay, so we put one more step at the top. If there's parentheses, we're going to distribute. Now there is another example that I'd like to look at, because I know as soon as I put a fraction in the problem, everybody goes, oh no, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So we are going to distribute this 2/5. So we have 2/5 times 10n, and then minus the 2/5 times 15 equals 0. Now you have options. Some people will come over here and say, okay, I'm going to multiply and then divide. So I'm going to say that 2 times 10n is 20n over 5, minus 2 times 15 is 30 over 5 equals 0. And now they would divide. So 20 divided by 5 is 4n, minus 30 divided by 5 is 6. So we have the equation 4n minus 6 equals 0. Other people, and I tend to be one of these people, I tend to divide first. I like to make my numbers smaller. So if I can, I do that. So I keep the 2 and I say 10 divided by 5, that's 2n's. Minus, I'm going to keep my 2 in the top, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. See, I like to make my number smaller rather than bigger. And now my next step, I do 2 times 2n, so now I'm multiplying, which is 4n, minus 2 times 3 is 6. And lo and behold, these are the same equations, aren't they? And then you have that third person who was smart and picked up their calculator way back at the beginning and said 2/5 times 10, oh yeah, that's 4 times n, minus 2/5 or 2/5 times negative 15, that's negative 6, and there they go. Okay, so there's 3 different ways you can do this. Again, I don't care which one you do. Whichever is easiest for you, it's up to you. Either way, we all get to the same place. And now that we're at this place, we stop and we say, okay, now wait a minute, let's think. If I was plugging a number in for n, first I would multiply by 4, then I would subtract 6. So now if I'm going to do the opposite operations, I'm going to add 6, and then I'm going to divide by 4. So here we go. Let's add 6 to both sides. That'll give us 4n. The 6's add to 0, and 0 plus 6 is 6. Then we divide both sides by 4. Okay, 4n divided by 4 is just n because the 4's cancel out. Now 6 divided by 4, yeah, that's a fraction. You could reduce that to 3/2, and that answer is perfect. If you put it in your calculator, now depending on which calculator you're using, if you're using our TI Inspire calculators and you type it in as 6/4, it's going to tell you 3/2 as your simplified answer. Our calculators will reduce the fraction for you. So you can just type in 6/4, hit enter, and it's going to tell you 3/2. Some calculators that you use, though, will give you a decimal, 1.5. That answer is also perfect. I don't care which of those 2 answers you give me. They're both 100% correct, so whichever one you like. Okay, guys, so that's it for solving equations using the distributive property. So don't forget to write your quick little summary, formulate a question for me, and then answer your post-video Google summary. All right, guys, see you next class.